What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
What is going on, OTB Nation? Welcome into episode number 323 of the award-nominated, honorably mentioned, number 9 NCAA ranked, and of course viewable on YouTube, Outside the Box podcast, the official lacrosse podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. It's KB coming at you from Underground Studios and joining me, as he always does, but he's got a new mark on his resume. That is postseason winning head coach, Coach Deej.
I'm here, bro. I'm alive. I'm still over the moon, dog. That was one of the best feelings ever. Doing something for my program that's never been done before. Like, just shout out to my guys. Like, every year that I've been coaching, they found a way to etch my name into the history books, put me next to, Kalamazoo United forever. And to me, that's huge. And, we talked about it a handful of times. Like, this season didn't quite turn out the way we wanted it to. Injury bug, sick bug, that kind of thing continued to kind of run through our team and cost us some games that we felt like we should have won. But those things don't even, like I told him today, I was like, we have another, like, as you guys are listening to this, we have a game either later today or around this time, Friday, 6:30. We're playing the number one team in the region. I'm like, hey, we're playing with house money. We win. We're the Cinderella story of the tournament, and we're just riding until we lose. And if we lose, cool. I'm like, this season's already a success. It's done it's done. Our name is in history forever because we did something this team has never done. And they gave me a Gatorade bath.
Dude, those picks were fire.
Dude, I thought, because what happened was, like, one kid just, like, laid on the ground. So I was like, oh, they're going to tabletop me. Great. So I, like, tried to, like, push him out of the way. And he grabbed my legs, and I fell. And I was like, oh, all right. Like, all right, here we go. Yeah, literally. So, like, I'm, like, trying to push away. And then, like, a couple kids jumped on top of me. And then I heard a couple go get the water. And I was like, no. No. So I'm, like, trying to get away. And, like, Nothing. I went like full hawk mode. I was like, ah!
Dude, that one picture, Buddy had you in a chokehold.
Dog, they did everything they could. And it was too late. I saw the water there, and I just covered up. And I was drenched, but they loved doing it. They were happy, the smiles on the faces. And I literally couldn't be happier. It's just so nice that this team has won a playoff game. It kind of sets the stature to continue to do that again, try and do it again next year, and keep getting better.
We got a lot of firsts on this episode. You got the first playoff win. We've got the first Offensive Player of the Year award winner in the NLL. And we've got a first in terms of an interview, which we will get to in just a moment. But before we get into everything, make sure you guys are following us on the socials across the board: Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Facebook.com at OTBLaxPod. You can follow Deej on Twitter at SCS_NextGreat. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Subscribe to the pod. Deej, tell them to subscribe to the pod.
I mean, I'm a postseason winning coach. If you ain't subscribed, you're bugging. Like, just go ahead, get on over Spotify, Apple Music, Anchor, wherever else you get your podcasts, YouTube, Underground Sports Philadelphia. Give it a follow.
Subscribe to the pod.
Find Outside the Box. Give that a follow and a subscribe. Leave those ratings.
Plus, if they're not subscribing after the guest we have on this episode, what are you doing?
And you ain't even found out yet. But when you do find out, send it to everybody. Tell them to subscribe because we do big-time things like that all the time.
Subscribe to the pod, Apple, Spotify, leave a 5-star review. Subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. It really does help when you guys subscribe. We're 7 subscribers away from 800. We're at 793. Let's get to 800 by the end of the weekend. And subscribe to the Outside the Box podcast YouTube channel, youtube.com/@OTBLaxPod. We're posting some shorts over there that are more lacrosse specific. We're posting all of our summer vlog content over there as well. youtube.com/@OTBLaxPod. Let's get that channel to 25 subscribers by the time the weekend is up. And on this episode, ladies and gentlemen, later on, you will see the boys hanging out with a potential dual star athlete come what feels like a fake year, 2029, 2030, is when that young man will be heading to college. And his former All-Pro, 3-time Pro Bowler, absolute rock star of a dad. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. On this episode of the Outside the Box podcast, we are joined by former NFL linebacker, former All-Pro, former 3-time Pro Bowler, former San Diego Charger and Buffalo Bill, Shawne Merriman, and his awesome, talented son, Justin Merriman. I genuinely have been sitting here since we've done the interview just thinking this is a Hall of Fame interview that we somehow landed in such a quick turnaround time. Big ups to Shawne Merriman, Justin Merriman, and Sean's PR team. I actually want to shout out his PR rep properly because he made all of this happen across the board to make this happen within a matter of less than a week. This all came to be. His PR, Josh Reimer, absolutely incredible. Can't thank all of them enough for hopping on. Hopefully won't be the last time. Doesn't feel like it will be the last time that Shawne and Justin are on this show. Just saying, we call dibs on knowing that Justin Merriman is going to be a future stud, whether it's in football, lacrosse, or both. Deej, we interviewed Shawne Merriman.
Bro, this week has been unreal. Like I said, I'm still over the moon. Like I sat back yesterday and I just went, I'm a goddamn goat. Like, just I'm literally doing shit that people would never think I would be able to do. Like it's I haven't even told people that I did this. Like I'm literally just gonna let it happen. Like
I've
boom.
told a select few people to just like get the hype up, and then we posted it today on Twitter, obviously, and we'll post it tomorrow morning across everything, just to remind the people that Shawne Merriman came on our podcast. Like, Shawne Merriman played for the Chargers from 2005 to 2010, and then played a couple years with the Bills as well. So from 2005 to 2012, those are my formative years. Like, those are the years that, like, we're seeing these kids at PLL weekends are right now, like 5th grade to senior in high school. That's when I was watching Shawne Merriman play football. That's when I was like, yo, that guy's a beast. I love watching this guy play. And, like, he was, like, one of those personalities that, like, if Shawne Merriman played today, oh, my God, the marketing around him that would be on the football field would be insane, both on and off the field. Like, he was one of the first players in my, like, childhood, along with, like, a guy like Brian Dawkins, and there were other guys as well, but, like, Shawne Merriman had the lights out thing while playing for the Chargers, who their logo is obviously a lightning bolt, and, like, just showed so much passion on the field and was just so dedicated to his craft. And he was an absolute delight on the show. Like, exceeded my already high expectations of what it was going to be like to sit down with a former 3-time Pro Bowl, former All-Pro linebacker in the NFL. He was genuinely one of the nicest people you and I have sat down and spoken with ever.
Very personable and you know,
super
shared a lot
engaged.
of knowledge, very engaged, and just awesome guy doing everything he can to, you know, make the world a better place. And Justin's going to be just as great, if not better, than his dad, both on and off the field, whether, you know, we're talking football or lacrosse, but he's going to be an awesome person. He's still a little bit in his shell, but like
that's that
like
age
we talked
too.
about, he's in 8th grade, like, and to be,
which is nuts. He may go down as the youngest guest
ever
we will ever have on the show.
Yeah, and like it's a big deal to be on a show, you know, even this big with you know, a following like ours. Like, you know, we're not an ESPN or like a super large show, but you know, we're big enough to where a kid's like a little nervous to you know, talk to us and then know that a ton of people are going to be listening to this. But I think, you know, he answered all of our questions, you know, thoroughly and and let his personality shine just enough for people to kind of put him on the map and be ready for him to explode into who he's actually going to be.
And, like, we'll get into it. I brought it up to him in the interview. Like, he plays midfield, lacrosse, plays quarterback football. There's no doubt in my mind that as he gets older and, like, morphs more into his body that is already insane for an 8th grader. He's listed at 6 foot 155. Like, that's crazy. He's going to be a stud in the sixes format. Like, if he chooses lacrosse in any capacity, we could see Justin Merriman playing for Team USA in the Olympics sixes format, and he would dominate.
Absolutely dominate. I mean, he's going to be – I see him dominating very soon, just, like we talked about with his metrics, but he's also an extremely smart player.
He's so smart.
He uses his body, his teammates, and his IQ in other sports to relate to each other and allows his skills to shine in the way they should, depending on what season it is.
Yeah, so stay tuned for our interview with Shawne and Justin Merriman. It was literally just like a pinch me moment for DJ and I, as we both grew up watching Shawne Merriman play in the NFL. Absolutely incredible. Couldn't have been more gracious with it. Like, gave us a half hour, which was amazing. We're going to get into the NLL end of season awards here on the show, as most of the awards have been announced with their winners. Starting off with early in the week, Deej, we had some friends of the pod come through and win their respective awards, and we nailed some of the winners that we highlighted on last week's episode, which big shout out to everybody who tuned in last week. The numbers on last week's episode are like true to roof compared to what we've had as like pretty normal numbers, for this time of year. But last week was like through the roof, and for an episode that was almost 3 hours long, like, thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate that a ton. But on Monday, the Executive of the Year and the Tom Borelli Media Person of the Year award winners were announced. Executive of the Year, we both kind of called it towards the end, and I said based on the attendance numbies that they had this year and just the way that things were going, with just like marketing and building the team up, it came to be John Catalano wins the Executive of the Year award for your Halifax Thunderbirds. He is the president and CEO of the T-Birds. So well deserved. Like, the way that Halifax was selling out games this year was such a good sign for where the league is going in a market that, sure, Lacrosse was there when they relocated the old Nighthawks to Halifax, but like, that's such a good sign for a newer franchise in the league, and to see Halifax, have the successes they had with drawing fans in week in and week out. John Catalano deserved that 110%. And then the Tom Borelli Award winner goes to our guy, the man, the myth, the legend, first-time winner of the award, former 2-episode co-host of this podcast. So I guess you could say this podcast has a Borelli Award winner in a sense, and that is our good pal Adam Levy. Couldn't be more proud of Adam. The work that he puts in for so many outlets. He traveled so much this year from Albany to New York to Philly and was just going every which way this year to cover teams in person. It was really awesome to watch. He made it happen, was getting such incredible stories written across the board. And, obviously we think all 3 nominees this year were so well deserving, but Adam grinded his ass off this year and couldn't be more stoked for our guy, Adam Levy.
I mean, yeah, starting with, the Executive of the Year, there's only one team, that outsold Halifax, and that was Buffalo. Buffalo had historic, unreal numbers this year as far as attendance, but Halifax was right behind them. And, it was an absolute party inside the nest every time they had a game this year. The fans were there. They were loud. They were rowdy. They were behind the team. And they brought us an energy inside of the building that you didn't see elsewhere in the league this year. We talk about, Buffalo's home field advantage, what it's like to play in Saskatchewan, what it's like, in the Loud House. But, like, literally inside the nest this year was the hardest place to play. And a few teams were able to escape there with a victory, but it was very hard fought. And you know, that comes down to the leadership and how they've marketed the team and made sure that the fan experience was, you know, at the forefront of their minds and taken as a priority this year. And it really shined in the way that fans showed out and showed that support for the squad. So now that you have that side taken care of and you kind of have a blueprint on how to attack that, it's time for him to go back to work. But this side on you know, but this time on the floor side of things, getting with the GM and being like, okay, who are we keeping? Why are we keeping them? How do we make this team better? Because the fans are here and they're going to want to see wins or they're going to walk back out the door. And you know, you kind of hit it right on the head with Adam. The dude's been grinding nonstop, doing crazy work all over the place. And it's good work too. You know, sometimes when you're tired and you're running around and you're constantly on the go, your level and I love when I can't think of a word that I really want to use. And the quality, there it is. I can't believe I didn't know quality. The level and like quality of your work, it diminishes sometimes. And his has continued to rise or at least stay level with what he was already doing, which was fantastic work to begin with. And, you know, he's very deserving of this award. He's a guy that literally is putting in literal boots on the ground work every time we turn around. And it's just been great to see him work. It feels good to say that we have, you know, a little bit of Tom Borelli action in here in the teal and yellow, but you know, our time is coming. But seriously, Adam was unreal this year and putting out fantastic content for everybody to consume and make lacrosse a better place.
Yeah, I mean, Adam made sure that this podcast stayed afloat a few years ago. So we wouldn't be here without him and couldn't be more thrilled that he takes home the Tom Borelli Award. On Tuesday, each the Sportsmanship and Teammate of the Year Award, which the Teammate of the Year Award is via the NLLPA. We'll start with that one. That goes to Las Vegas Desert Dogs' own Zach Greer. And then the Sportsmanship Award goes to none other than Lyle Thompson.
I mean, we knew what was going to happen with the Sportsmanship Award. It's like,
just name it after Lyle.
I say, yeah, can we just name it the Lyle Thompson Award and just still give it to him until he's done playing? Because, like, it's unreal. The guy is just so good at giving back, so good at being a great guy, so good at being a teammate, so good at spreading what lacrosse is really about, love and medicine. There's no way to say he's not. Like, when's the last time we saw Lyle actually riled up? You know, and when it does happen, it's a legitimate reason.
I think it happened last year. No, one of the times I was on Long Island when his squad was playing the Riptide, he was like in the middle of a scrum, and I was like, "Whoa, I've never seen that before."
Yeah, but you never seen it, and that's the last time we've seen it, and who knows when will be the next time. He's kind of that guy that's just, when he's around, everybody's like, "Kumbaya, stop it, Lyle's right there." Like, do you really want Lyle to come over here and do something about it? I don't think so. Like, let's just chill out. But and then as far as Teammate of the Year award, just really sad this didn't go to Cole Kirst, but he was nominated.
He won his own teams.
I say, yeah, he won his own teams, and he easily could have been nominated for this one. He's that guy, you know, like he is a great teammate, but so is Zach Greer, and he's the kind of teammate I would give it to, based upon the fact that he won this award off of effort and leading by example, being that teammate guy that's always there, working hard. I brought this up to my guys, like, who's going to be that dog that just, like, shows up and is like, I'm going to be better than the guy across from me? Because when your teammates see that one guy doing that, they want to do it too, because they don't want to let that guy down. They don't want to be the reason that guy has to go home with an L because he was working so hard. Mm-hmm. And that's Zach Greer. He shows up, he works hard, head down, but he's also there to pick you up when you need it. He's also there to give you a high five and be like, yo, that was dope. He's also there to say, whatever, it happened, it's over, next play, let's just get it back.
And he's that grinder of a veteran on such a young team too. Like, we're also talking about a guy who retired at one point, came out of retirement to go play for the Seals when they came to be, and then signed with Vegas a couple years ago. So to have like that presence on that squad is like invaluable to so many of those guys on that team.
Head down mentality spreads, and that's all he's trying to do is showcase what it means to just be a hard worker and do it and uplift your teammates the entire time. Love this guy, man. He's very well deserved.
Then on Wednesday, we had the 4th clean sweep in NLL history of the Les Bartley Award, which is your Coach of the Year award, and the General Manager of the Year award. And that goes to our guy who we got to get on this show because he follows us on Instagram. Your head coach and GM of the Albany Firewolves, Glenn Clark. And Deej, our good pal Pat Gregoire put this out. He is just the 4th head coach GM combo to win both in one season, joining Bob Hamley, who did it for the Arizona Sting in 2005, Derek Keenan, who did it for the Saskatchewan Rush. He's done it 3 times. He did it for the Rush in 2014 and in 2010, and he did it for the Portland Lumberjacks in 2006. Our guy and friend of the program, Paul Day, did it in 2020 for the Wings, and now Glenn Clark joins the Pantheon as just the 4th head coach GM combo to win both awards in a single season. I mean, no notes. He has done a spectacular job with this team, both constructing it and navigating through 2 of the bigger retirements that this team had to go through in the offseason with Brett Manny and Kieran McCardle, and navigating this young team, the youngest team in the league, to the NLL Finals. Glenn Clark deserved this so much. He's had a phenomenal year, both as a front office member and as the head coach. Couldn't be more stoked for Glenn Clark.
I mean, we talked about it. It's unreal to see a team go from last to first. Unreal to see a team go through some turnover and still figure it out and arguably improve based upon what he brought in. And the bigger pieces, kind of meshing this team together and bringing in some new pieces and getting them all to click right away. Like, these NLL teams don't have a ton of time together. Training camp is the most time they spend together. They get a practice or 2 in before they play, and that's it. They travel together on a plane, that's it. Like, these guys don't spend a ton of time together, and chemistry is everything in sports. So for him to rally this team together, bring them together, and really get them to enjoy each other, love each other, and want to spend as much time together as possible is the real feat here. And then the on-floor product is just better. That's just an additive to all of that, and it's giving them something to strive for. Okay, we were great this year. We lost 5 games. Let's lose less than that next year. Let's be the first seed next year. Let's get back to the NLL championship that we're in now. He made all the right moves and then turned around as a coach and implemented the right system to make all those moves really pop. To be both GM and coach and do them the way he did them this year so effectively is a skill that not many have. But I guess we could say 8 guys do over in the PLL because they're doing the same thing every year. But it is a little bit of a different scenario because he doesn't have to be the GM of his team. He's choosing to, which adds a different pressure
and I think this
stress.
is the first year he's done it too.
Yeah, and he's handling it well. The added pressure and stress and decisions he has to make are not really phasing him, as you see with how great of a program Albany's been this year.
And then your other awards that have been announced are your Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Transition Player of the Year, and Goaltender of the Year. As we record this on Thursday night, we still don't know the MVP and the all NLL first and second teams, or the Rookie of the Year and the all rookie team. But your Offensive Player of the Year, the first time a player has won this award, it goes to friend of the program, Josh Byrne. Your Defensive Player of the Year goes to the guy I said could sneaky win it because he could split, votes could have been split between the 2 teammates, and he does it. Ryan Dilks from your Vancouver Warriors comes away with the Defensive Player of the Year award. Transition Player of the Year goes to Halifax Thunderbirds and follower of the pod, Jake Withers. And then Goaltender of the Year also goes to follower of the pod and a no-brainer, no doubt about it, Toronto Rock goalie, Nick Rose. Deej, your thoughts on those four?
3 out of 4 of these were pretty cookie cutter. Obviously for you felt Jake was the runaway option here, and a lot of people did. I have a little bit different opinion on what transition players should be, not taking anything away from Jake. Wiz was insane this year at the Stripe. Loose balls were at an unreal level, as he set, I believe, an NLL record for the year, which is 282 is crazy. Like that's
video
something
game numbers.
That's something we literally may never see again ever in time. So definitely shout out to that, and he definitely put up points, played great defense. Like he did the transition role for sure. But it's just one of those weird things where I think kind of a couple other guys on the list like played that transition role a little bit better, and he was gifted. I wouldn't say gifted. He was given the award based upon some extra skill that he has based upon being a faceoff guy. He spent a little bit more time on the floor, and the loose balls are kind of a little more in his area. Doesn't mean they're any easier to get, but I kind of talked about it last week in the episode about the inflation of numbers there and kind of how I feel about that. And then, but that was still pretty cookie cutter. We kind of knew Jake was going to run away with that. We knew Josh Byrne. It was between Josh and Dane, but we were kind of leaning on Josh, and we knew Nick Rose was by far and away the goaltender of the year. Defense is where things got interesting. None of the guys had like a crazy year this year. 2 of the guys were on the same team, which we always know that kind of makes things weird because, like, do they start to take votes away from each other, which really just pumps the other guy up. And Dilks had an unreal year. He was great. Vancouver, although they struggled, defense wasn't their problem this year whatsoever. And Dilks was a big part of that, being a leader on that defense, talking through a lot of situations, and being a consistent player that they could rely on to play solid D and help in the transition.
Yeah, I was right. He won 1 face-off this year of taking 1. That was the feather in the cap there. I'm just kidding. All 3 guys were deserving.
Sure.
It's if you don't speak satire, you don't speak sarcasm, I'm sorry about it. Captions, you can click the option there to read in sarcasm. No, but I think Defensive Player of the Year was that one award this year where each guy that was nominated did like 1 or 2 things extremely well. So it was a matter of where all of the votes were going to fall, depending on how those things that they did extremely well favored in the voters' hands. Also, I don't know if you saw this, our guy, Tom Borelli Award winner, Adam Levy, tweeted this today. Did you know Josh Byrne and Dane Smith broke the points, like the duo points record?
Yeah.
Do you know how much they broke it by?
No.
So the record was set last season with Mitch Jones and Joe Resetarits for the Wings at 236 points. Josh and Dane combined for 269 points this year. They shattered it. Like, that's crazy for a team that is the 4 seed. Now you know why those guys are nominated for MVP, everybody.
They were scoring a lot of points. They just weren't winning games.
Yeah. Early on, especially.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, I saw this great stat, or a quote, I should say, that Pat Gregoire had on the Off the Crossbar podcast that Grant Perro tweeted out. Gregoire said on why Connor Fields should be an MVP finalist, quote, Fields grabbed the lifeless body of the Rochester Nighthawks and dragged it into the postseason. What a quote from friend of the program, Pat Gregoire.
That is an amazing quote.
The lifeless body.
I'm definitely finna use that for
Good
something.
grief. That's like the most backhanded compliment to the Rochester Nighthawks making the playoffs this year. And like totally discredits a little bit of what Ryan Smith did this year too. Because like he had a great year. But man, What a way to make your case for Connor Fields to be an MVP candidate. Pat Gregoire's the fucking best.
I mean,
A
Fieldsy had a year.
year,
I do
man.
agree with that.
Congratulations to all the award winners. We will find out who wins MVP, Rookie of the Year, and who makes the all NLL first, second, and rookie teams. We'll probably put a video out or something breaking it all down, and then we'll talk about it on next week's show. But let us move to our NLL postseason finals preview, brought to you by our awesome merch partners at PHI Apparel Company. The best merch in the game. If you want to stand out in the crowd, look your best, rock an official Outside the Box podcast merch, Underground Sports Philadelphia merch, all your favorite podcasts from our shows, Philly-centric merch. If you're a Philly sports fan, they've got you covered as well. PHI Apparel Company is the place to do it. Go to phiapparel.co, and when you go to checkout, fill your card up to the brim, to the gills. Use code UNDERGROUND for 10% off at phiapparel.co, and you'll get 10% off your merch order. That's phiapparel.co, code UNDERGROUND for 10% off your merch order. When you get your merch, tag us. We'll repost it everywhere. We want to see where you're rocking your merch from. phiapparel.co, code UNDERGROUND, 10% off your merch order. Deej, it's the finals. It's finals weekend. The NLL Finals get underway on Friday, as you guys are listening to this, at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Could the NLL season come to a close this weekend, Deej? That remains to be seen. We got 2 games this weekend, though. First time the NLL Finals are going back-to-back, as the Bandits head to Albany to kick things off on Friday night at 7 p.m., and then Saturday, things shift to Buffalo at 7:30 p.m. That game is sold out. 19,000 plus will be in the building in Bandit Land on Saturday night. But man, what a finals matchup this is going to be for all the bragging rights in upstate New York.
Low key, this is like the playoff series nobody thought they'd be getting. Like if you told us right after the NLL Finals last year that Buffalo would be back and they would be playing Albany, people would be like, you're crazy.
Mm-hmm.
They'd be like, maybe Buffalo gets back. Maybe. I won't throw that out of the window. But they were kind of probably expecting teams to get better and fight at Buffalo for being defending champs again. And then the Albany thing is what really would have thrown them. They'd be like, dude, they're 3-10. You mean to tell me that one pick and a few offseason moves is going to put them at the top of the league? Like, all right, bro. And look at where we are. We're looking at Buffalo back defending their national or their NLL championship, and Albany, who was 3-10 last year, being near the top of the league and playing for the finals.
Mm-hmm.
The Cup could be in Buffalo or in Albany at the end of this weekend. Maybe by latest at the end of next weekend.
Or it could be staying in Buffalo, which is also crazy.
But we do know it's going to be in upstate New York, which is also crazy. There's no East and West anymore. It's just the 2 best teams.
Longest run of a trophy staying in one area since the 2019 Calgary Roughnecks.
Facts. Facts. This place, it's not leaving the capital region. No, but in all real retrospects, like,
they're going to name this thing the Capital Cup before we know it.
But, like, looking at the season overall, these are 2 very deserving teams. It's going to be a blockbuster, series. Let me take a look at
it's
something.
The Young Bulls
real
versus that grizzled veteran squad, too, like we talked about last week when we were previewing that this was the matchup we were going to get. Like, this is the ultimate, like, David versus Goliath matchup.
Right.
We likened it to like Super Bowl 52 in a way, where the underdog Eagles versus the big bad Patriots. Like, it's that kind of. It's like the 2001 Arizona Diamondbacks taking on the evil Empire Yankees. Like, that's kind of what this is. It's like the inexperienced in the postseason team taking on the defending champions, the alleged, building a dynasty. Like, this is what makes sports so much fun and makes storylines and build up to a championship worth every single second, especially for these two teams.
And I'm looking at it right now. Wow. This is going to be interesting. They played twice already this year.
Mm-hmm.
And it was not split. Albany won the first matchup back December 9th, 17-13. And they won the second matchup February 24th, 13-10.
Mm-hmm. And some, eerie, similar, season stats for both teams. Buffalo scored 237 goals this year, gave up 212. Albany scored 206 goals this year, gave up 191. Goal differentials for each team, 25 and 15, respectively. Goals per game, Buffalo 13, Albany 11. Goals against per game, Buffalo 11, Albany 10. A lot of things, almost balance this matchup out to be so perfect in so many different ways. And, the guys leading each team, it's Alex Simmons, it's Ty Kurtz, it's Joe Nardella, Ethan Walker for Albany. Colton Watkinson obviously being, the grizzled veteran for this team. And then you have the Bandits, where it's Josh Byrne, Dane Smith, Chase Frazier, Ian McKay, Matt Vince, Steve Priolo, Tahoka Nanticoke. The names in this series are, it has you foaming at the mouth. Connor Farrell, obviously, who came in and potentially salvaged the Buffalo Bandits season. So we have an elite face-off matchup at the dot in this series. You've got offensive firepower true to roof. The defenses for these teams have been elite. 2 elite goaltenders. And 2 incredible head coaches in John Tavares and Glenn Clark. Get your popcorn ready. Order some pizza. Get some buffalo wings. Plop yourselves on the couch. Invite the homies over. And gear up, because it's going to be a weekend for the books. And man, obviously we want both teams to have fun because we got homies on the Buffalo squad, and obviously Albany, we got homies on that squad too, and they follow us on the socials, both Twitter and Instagram. But man, am I rooting for this series to go 3. Because if it goes 3, we kick to Saturday, May 25th, Deej in town. The lead-in will be the NCAA tournament to the NLL Finals deciding game at 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time in Albany. Where do we sign up for that? Where do we sign up for a 3-game series?
I think right here. But I'm so here for that. Maybe an OTB cast for that. Maybe. We'll see when the time comes. But it's all going to come down to penalties and goaltending and guys just going out, giving it their all. It's 3 more games, possibly 2 for sure. We're going to see who empties the tank and who comes out on top. But it's going to be an extremely hard and fought battle. That's just going to come down to mental errors being the difference.
Who are the DJ X factors for each team? If you had to pick one player from each team that you're looking for them to elevate what they've already done because it's the NLL Cup, it's the NLL Finals. I need to see this player take their game to a championship level for their team to come away with a victory and hoist that NLL Cup at the end of this series. Who are you putting it on the shoulders of for Buffalo and for Albany?
weirdly, I know he just got there, but it's Connor Farrell. I think that if he doesn't have a great series and they're giving tons of possessions to Albany where they're able to work and get their old guys out the door and get the shots they want, can be detrimental to them, because I think that is the real reason why they lost those 2 games earlier in the year, is that Joe was getting them possession when they wanted it, and they were scoring in a more effective way for them based off how relaxed they could be off of knowing they would get the ball when they needed it. And if Connor's able to neutralize that at the least and at least make them dirty ground, loose balls that everybody has to fight for, that makes things a little bit easier for Buffalo to play with. But on the other side, as cliche as it may sound, it's Alex Simmons. He has to keep balling the way he has been. If he keeps playing and pouring in 6, 7, 8 points a night, I don't know that Albany loses.
Well, can I give you a stat about Alex Simmons? Speaking of 6, 7 points a night, this comes from the NLL account. Alex Simmons needs just 6 points to break the all-time rookie record for most points in a postseason, set by Buffalo's John Tavares in 1992.
Crazy. That's just
Wild.
3 points. That's just 3 points a night in the guaranteed games.
And he's already putting up numbies.
Numbies, bro.
Like,
Crazy
he could do that
numbies.
in game 1 in front of Albany's home crowd against the head coach you're playing against.
Insane. This is set up to be an absolute blockbuster.
I'm with you on Alex Simmons, but to just play a little contrarian and give a different answer for each team. For Buffalo, I'm going Tehoka. I think Tehoka's got to have like that inner dog in him, which we know can come to life at any moment. If Tehoka steps up and is dialed in for these 2 games, that's something that Albany, while they're already trying to contain Josh Byrne and Dane Smith, because you can't stop either of them, while you're already trying to stop Chase Frazier, Chris Kluche, the rest of those boys, Ian McKay, Steve Priol, the rest of them, if Tehoka is on a heater, good luck, because he is one of the more difficult players to cover when he is dialed in and has his shot on him. So I'm going to go Tehoka for Buffalo. And for Albany, I'm going to go the other Rookie of the Year candidate, Ty Kurtz. I think if Ty Kurtz is locked in and playing the way he has all year to obviously get him to be a Rookie of the Year nominee, and I can almost guarantee, stamp it, lock it in, he and Alex Simmons are going to be on that NLL all-rookie team. It's a no-brainer that Buffalo's defense is going to have a long couple nights if both of those boys are dialed in, wheeling and dealing, along with Ethan Walker. But I think it's going to be Ty Kurtz and it's going to be Tehoka. D just giving Connor Farrell and Alex Simmons the nod there. I also think this is going to come down to coaching execution. The chess match that we are going to get from a coaching perspective has to have you foaming at the mouth as a coach yourself, Deej. Glenn Clark versus John Tavares in a potential best of 3 is everything and then some you could want for in a head coaching chess match.
Yeah, I mean, after my team has started to find some success and we're starting to compete with teams, now it's the weird little nuance, getting a timeout off a crucial ground ball scrum and you come up with it. It's the deciding to sub a player after a certain player so you can get the matchup you want. It's the moving guys around and putting them in different places in a set so that you can get them, for an open shot. Those are the kind of things that I've started to do in games now that we can compete. So that's always something I kind of have circled and paying attention to is because I tell my guys, watch lacrosse. That's how you get better. Watching guys do the things you're trying to do and implement them. So as a coach, how am I going to get better? Watching other coaches play the chess game and do different things and taking notes. So I'm always looking, and these are 2 great guys. Glenn, who kind of has nothing to lose and is just playing because his team is doing great, and he's looking to keep the momentum going and prove that what they have here is worthy and that he's made the right decisions, while Buffalo's like, man, we've been here before, and we just have to prove again that we're those guys. And it's just two completely different mindsets coming together to try and battle each other out. And it's next level when you really start to pay attention to the small nuanced things of and for the box game, it's kind of like you look at offense, every time they come out, you're getting Josh Burndane Smith. You know that. And a lot of times you're getting Chase Frazier in there as well. But who are the other two guys coming out of the box? Sometimes you get Chris and Tahoka. Sometimes you get Kyle Buchanan and Tahoka, or Kyle and Chris. It's just, how do they decide who to roll out and when they decide to roll them out? And when do they decide to push transition and slow it down? When do they decide to pull the goalie? All these things are things that the coaches spend a lot of time deciphering over and making decisions on, which are things for coaches or aspiring coaches to pay attention to, because one day you will be using them.
100%. And it's going to be one for the books. We're both extremely excited about it. It's either a defending champion going for a repeat, or a new team cracks the code and wins an NLL Cup and Deej for potentially the final time this season. Fingers crossed that it's not, because Game 3 would be absolutely electric. We head to the Pick Pond to feed some ducks. And it is the NLL postseason NLL Finals Picks of the Week, brought to you by Kenwood Beer, the official beer partner of Underground Sports Philadelphia and Deej. The Kenwood shirts, man. I know we showcased it last week, but good grief, are these beautiful. Absolute gems. Business in the front with that Kenny Street logo. Party in the back. Next stop, Kenwood. Kenwood Beer kicking off their Summer of Kenny at the Mann Center tonight as we record this. You can get Kenwood Beer at the Mann Center now. And Kenny's got an awesome event going on, Deej. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it is unfortunately, it's the day before you fly in. But if you're in the area, myself and Christian are going to try to make it out. I got to reach out to Kenwood tomorrow. But Kenny comes to South Jersey, and you can join Kenwood Beer to celebrate the launch of Kenwood Original Beer in South Jersey at Reunion Hall in Haddon Township, New Jersey, Thursday, May 23rd at 7 p.m. T-shirts, giveaways, live music, and Kenwood Original. You can't beat the original. Kenwood Beer's refreshing light beer, just 4.1% ABV, only 120 calories and just 8 grams of carbs. Go to kenwoodbeer.com, use the Kenny Finder to see who's got Kenwood Beer on tap in the Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Maryland, New Jersey, and now Delaware areas. Must be 21 or older to do so, and of course, please drink responsibly. Deej, it's the finals. We start with Game 1, and as we do, if you're new to the show, we pick the games, obviously not knowing how Game 1 is going to go, but we're going to pick these two and then determine whether or not there will be a Game 3, and we'll give a Game 3 pick as well if needed based on our picks here. But Game 1, Deej, in Albany, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, Friday night. Firewolves, Bandits. Who's taking Game 1 of the NLL Finals?
As hard as it is to beat a team once, as hard as it is to beat a team twice, it's that much harder to beat them 3 times. And Albany has to try and beat this Buffalo team 4 times in 1 year. And weirdly enough, I'm going to say they're going to do it at least 3. Because I think they win Game 1 at home, going off this momentum, playing with the house money. It's going to be rocking inside of there. And when you have nothing to lose, you play hard. And I really like the way Albany's been running lately. I like them to handle things in front of their home crowd.
I'm with you. I'm taking the Firewolves to get the home win. to send it back to Buffalo, up 1-0. Then we go to Saturday, 7:30 Eastern time, in front of a sold-out Bandit land. The Bandits hosting the Albany Firewolves. Deej, your game 2. You already know where I'm going because I'm manifesting 3 games. I'm taking the home squad. It's tough to win at Bandit land, especially in the playoffs. Give me the Bandits to take game 2 and force a game 3.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go along with you here, but not for the same reason. I think experience is what shines here. In an elimination game in the finals, that team that's on the brink is trying just a little bit harder, and they're the experienced ones in this scenario, which I think will rub off and give them a chance to even things back up. But that just means we're going back to Albany for a game 3.
And if game 3 indeed happens, Deej, it will happen on Saturday, May 25th at 5 p.m. Eastern time.
So are
right
we not
after.
saving? We're not saving the pick?
It's tough. I mean, we could give
if it goes to game 3, we have to talk about it next week.
Yes, we do.
So
do we give a preliminary pick?
And a possible change of mind next week?
A possible change of mind depending on how things go.
I could go with it.
Where this pick doesn't count towards.
Yeah.
Until
it's not solidified until next week. Yeah, I can rock with a early Albany pick right now.
I'm with you. I would love to see another team win, and this is nothing against our Bandits guys, but seeing team after team after team win, where since we've started this podcast, we've had 3 different champions take home the NLL title. In the Calgary Roughnecks in 2019, the Colorado Mammoth did it in 2022, and then the Bandits last year. It's cool seeing multiple teams come home champions, and to see the Albany Firewolves, who have been fans of our show for a long, long time, would be cool to see them win one. And it would also be cool to see the Bandits repeat, because to see a dynasty kind of unfold in the era of us covering this league would also be equally as cool. But I'm with you. I think the Albany Firewolves are going to win the NLL. They have a team of destiny vibe around them, where just that underdog mentality has gotten them to this point, and sometimes that's all you need in terms of just pushing through and winning a title. So be cool to see the Albany Firewolves win. We'll see if it happens, and if a game 3 happens, we will give our definitive pick next week's show. But there is your NLL postseason finals picks of the week, powered by Kenwood Beer, and we will see how it all plays out this weekend in upstate New York. Deej, we interviewed Shawne Merriman.
Yes, we did.
We interviewed Shawne Merriman. An amazing interview, an electric interview, all pun intended, with Shawne Merriman and his son, Justin Merriman. Some really cool insight on just how, Shawne views things as a former athlete. Justin kind of carrying himself, with the shoes to quote-unquote fill of his dad and being his own person as well. And the way that Shawne allows him to do that, which I think is really, really cool and really, really special for somebody of Shawne Merriman's caliber. And we get a little into, Shawne doing the whole live events thing with Lights Out TV and, the combat sports that he has gotten into, and Lights Out TV trying to get into as many households as possible. Really awesome stuff. And if you're into it, Lights Out TV has a huge fight card going on this weekend that you can tune into probably right after the NLL Finals, which would be a really nice nightcap there for everybody. But I think without any further ado, Deej, let's get into our interview with Shawne and Justin Merriman. All right, everybody, welcome to a very awesome and exciting interview we have here on the Outside the Box podcast. It's KB and Deej coming at you, and we have 2 very special guests. One, DJ and I grew up idolizing and watching for many, many years play in the NFL with the San Diego Chargers, with the Buffalo Bills, and that is Shawne Merriman. We are joined by his son, Justin, class of 2029, dual sport athlete, Guys, welcome to the Outside the Box podcast. We are beyond stoked to have you on.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having us.
So first things first, you guys got on our radar when the Lacrosse Network, who are good friends of ours, retweeted your video, Shawne, of you at Justin's lacrosse practice and saying, just not for you, too much running. And you got on our radar with that, and we see Justin playing lacrosse. We were chopping it up with him before you hopped in, and he has that hockey background when he was younger to get him into lacrosse. What do you make of, kind of obviously the football background, and now you get same physicality but a different style of sport with him playing lacrosse as well? What's it like being a lacrosse dad?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because I wasn't familiar with the sport. Now, don't get me wrong, I went to University of Maryland, had a great lacrosse team. But I never knew the ins and outs of the game, right? So you see it on TV or whatever, and I've probably been down to about 10 professional lacrosse games in my life. But again, I didn't know hockey either when he started playing. Just when he started playing like 4 or 5 hockey.
Yeah, about 4 or 5. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I wasn't into hockey like that either. But I started to go watch him, and then I started going to more Rangers games. I started going to I live in Vegas, so I go to a lot of the Knights games. I'm a Capitals fan. My boy Tom Wilson out there at the Capitals. So yeah, man, it's kind of cool because growing up, those sports weren't available for us. For one, it's too damn expensive. But two, I think that to be able to see like what goes into something else coming from where I come from has just been super, super dope.
And I mean, you posted the picture from this weekend, and Justin is just about your height, which blew my mind to kind of just see.
Don't tell him that. Don't tell him that, because now I gotta deal with that when we get off. I already deal with that enough. So don't let him. Don't let him know that, man. But yeah, for sure.
To kind of just see, his evolution at this point in his life, still at the youth level and getting ready for, what's next for high school and everything, to kind of just see his progression and being able to take on that dual sport athlete tag. How cool is that for you just as a dad and as a former athlete to kind of just see his progressions and where you guys project him to be at the high school level and then beyond?
Yeah, I think for me, right, because people know who I am, so I've always kind of been in the background. Like even when I go to all his games as a kid, some of his coaches, even when he was 4 or 5 years old, like, Shawne, come up here, coach a team. I think, Coach, I appreciate it. I'll come up and, talk to the team here and there, but I like to stay in the background because, I want him to be, and he's always been like his own person, so I never really had to kind of step in and do whatever. He just naturally works hard on his own. I don't really have to push him a whole lot. He naturally want to just get better at everything. And I guess, too, that's where the DNA part of it come in at, to kind of allow me to step back and let him do his thing. But it's fun, especially around this age when you start to see them coming into their own, right? Like, of course, you got the height, but now you start to see the strength and the structure and the body, the mentality. He whacked this kid so damn hard in the lacrosse game the other day. Their coach is pissed off, and I'm kind of, parents, everybody looking around at me, and I'm sitting there like, like I've raised some damn demon child. But it's cool to see him just coming to his own and wanted to be more of himself. So,
and Justin, for you to take on that dual sport athlete, tag for you, it's not easy for anybody to just go into that, and a lot of society lately has kind of tried to push kids to focus on one sport when a lot of their coaches and, a lot of, former players and everything are saying, hey, broaden your horizons, play multiple sports. How have, the balances of football and lacrosse been for you? What are some similarities and differences you see with playing both at the positions you're playing?
Yeah, I think, both sports rely heavily on speed, strength. I like playing 2 sports, even 3 sports sometimes. They all focus on different muscle groups, which is amazing. It helps you out, both sports. I have some stuff from lacrosse that I use for football, some stuff for football I use for lacrosse. It goes hand in hand, really.
And Deej, I know how much that you value that as a youth coach.
Oh, yeah. I mean, as a high school coach that's trying to prepare kids for college, my biggest thing is telling them to play multiple sports and finding ways that, especially in my area, like lacrosse isn't as big. So I heavily lean on those other sports. Like, oh, you played soccer. Our ride is like this when you're trying to get in front of a guy who's dribbling and turn him back. That's the same thing we're doing here. Oh, you play basketball. Okay. We're going to put you at X and we're going to run the pick and roll with this guy here. He's going to roll the bucket. This guy's going to pop out. It's the same sport as what you were doing, in this season before. So it's a huge avenue to be able to work back and forth between multiple sports. But like my biggest question for you, Justin, is being a quarterback in football and kind of manning the offense and being able to kind of have to know what everybody has going on. How does that translate to being a midfielder and kind of being more relaxed and working kind of off of the attack and more of your teammates and more of a, I don't want to say confined role, but it's more of like you have to use your other guys and it isn't like your job. You know how we feel. I wouldn't say we, but a lot of people in football feel it's a lot on the quarterbacks. They're always looking at the quarterback, whereas in lacrosse, it's 6 guys.
Yeah, definitely. My spot in lacrosse, I'm midi. I'm most of the time in the middle, so I'm most of the time calling all the 100s, 200s, strong, picks. So I have to know what the X is doing, all the attacker doing. Even I have to know, what the deep holes are doing on the other team. I have to know what everyone's doing. I think it really, both go hand in hand with each other, through IQ, as well as, just knowing everyone and what everyone's doing.
Yeah, is it easy to kind of step away from the shadow of your dad and kind of be your own athlete? Like, I know sometimes having an older, because I had a lot of older uncles and cousins that played college sports, so it was like, oh, you're not the first one in the family to do this. You have like these footsteps to live up to, and yours are looming. They're large. Yeah. Do you kind of just step away from that and kind of just do your own thing and not worry about it, or is it kind of like always in the back of your head, like I kind of do have to get to like a certain point to kind of just be relevant as a Merriman?
Yeah, me and my dad are both completely different positions. So one day I hope to be, close or as better as he was at a different position. So I step away from it, but but I also engage in it as well.
Shawne, you brought up, having been to some pro lacrosse games now and seeing the accessibility that both the National Lacrosse League for indoor lacrosse, and there's a team in Vegas, obviously, and now with the PLL as well, and the events that they're putting on with the pro weekends, and then obviously this past weekend in New York at Kevin Durant's court, having the street lacrosse and making the sport accessible. Like you said, growing up, it was so damn expensive, and to see both of these leagues affording kids and the next generation the ability to put a stick in their hands. How cool is that to kind of watch as Justin's growing up here and the sport becomes more accessible to his age demo and beyond?
Yeah, I've always thought that lacrosse is a great sport. It was always, to me, a distribution and visibility standpoint, right? And how it was covered. And, because I'm in the TV and I have my, streaming network and all that stuff now, so I understand like all facets of like distribution and creativity, production, everything. And so me knowing from where I come from and now knowing about lacrosse and how great of a sport it is, it's like, man, why is all these years, why haven't somebody been leaning into like how special, like create something so people know like how special it is? Because the more you can create out of it, the more you can make it a build up, the more you can sell it, and more you can match up. The more you can create something within a sport, and then how you shoot it and produce it, it gets people interested. And I'm seeing that now because I've been around obviously with Justin, but also coming from University of Maryland, going back, and I just not too long ago I cut a great promo for when they played last year in the championship game. Or the playoffs championship game last year. So and so I cut a great promo with them. But I'm like, man, this is the stuff that the sport has always needed. They needed something cool, something build up, or get people hyped up and about the matchup. Because once people look, then they start to find out the rules and the strategy and everything else. You're hooked. That's it. And so that's how I've been. I wasn't a fan of lacrosse always, but getting a chance going to see the games, getting to know the strategy behind it. And now watching to see what goes into it, it's made me like a fan of the sport. And I'm like, man, why nobody really spent time like showing it in this light? And so it's great, man. And athletically, this big debate about NBA players not being able to play football. Let me tell you, out of everybody making these comparisons, the one sport that can play football is lacrosse. These lacrosse guys can get on the football field and actually have some success, more than NBA. And I would maybe rugby, if you want to put it up there with them. Rugby is the only other sport that can get out there and actually have success on the football field. But I think you can take some of your top rugby guys and they can play in the NFL in a heartbeat.
Yeah, and we're seeing that happen right now with the Buffalo Bills. There's Zed Williams, who plays for the Maryland Whipsnakes and the Colorado Mammoth. He's trying out for the Bills during their rookie minicamp, and DJ and I have both said if there's anybody out there who can go and make a splash at a training camp, it's Zed Williams. He's listed at 6'2", 230, but he probably stands like 6'5", 240, and he's trying out as a tight end and a linebacker, so you see that versatility. And obviously the big name that always comes to mind with football and lacrosse is Chris Hogan. Yep. And you see just kind of that crossover where you see guys who have either started as a football career and go to, play lacrosse or vice versa. And most of the time it works out to some degree where they're finding, some sort of success in both sports.
I think that when they figure it out, it's already a great sport. I think that when they figure out how to spotlight it, it's going to turn into a mega monster. Now there's so many different ways to consume content out here through streaming services and other places. When they figure out a way to spotlight lacrosse, it'll be the next major sport.
Justin, I would assume you're into the PLL like every other kid is. Who's your favorite team? Who's your favorite player?
I don't really, focus on players. I'm just like more of like a team player. I know a lot of, past players. I watch, social media influencers. That's how I started getting into lacrosse, like actually starting to play, focus on training. But right now I'm looking at the Water Dogs. Yeah.
Yeah, we can rock with the Water Dogs. As long as it wasn't those, I actually won't say it. I don't want to. The Whipsnakes. I won't say the other name. I'm kind of okay with the other part of their name.
The Water Dogs are fun. They have, and like you said, lacrosse is predicated on speed, and I think if there's one team in the league right now that showcases speed top to bottom, from Michael Sowers to Kieran McCardle down that entire midfield, and then their defense, it's the Water Dogs. It had to be a pretty cool moment to see your dad get retweeted by TLN, and seeing the resurgence of TLN since the PLL purchased them a few years back. But to see your dad, be in the TLN zeitgeist, how cool was that to, see everybody responding? You have a Maryland, big name, responding to with Dante Trader Jr. playing football and lacrosse at Maryland. To see him, kind of say, oh, next up, how cool was that for you?
Yeah, that was it was pretty cool. I always look at their posts, what they always post. Definitely what Trader posts. I actually, a couple of years ago, I saw his, and I'm like, I wonder if I could be in college, and play both sports at the same time and be as good as he is. It was pretty cool when I saw his repost and Tialen's repost. It was cool to watch.
For you, Shawne, to see somebody like Dante Trader Jr., who is succeeding both on the football field and the lacrosse field for the University of Maryland, to kind of see that it is possible. How cool is that to kind of, showcase that to Justin and say, hey, like if this is an avenue you want to go down and potentially be a dual sport athlete in college, it's a possibility, and you have, the IQ to do it, you have the skill set to do it, and if it's something you want to do, it's possible.
Yeah, no, it's awesome, man. But, I'm jealous. I'm jealous because I tried to play basketball my freshman year when I was there, and Gary Williams, they wanted me to come out and play because I was all state and all coming out of DC, Maryland, Virginia area. I was ranked, I think, top 5 or top 7 or something like that coming out in basketball. And I used to go play with the men's basketball team at the rec centers when it was at not at Coalfield, but they just built the new Comcast over there. Mm-hmm. And, I went over there and I'm dunking, I'm doing this and doing that. And it kind of got back to Gary Williams. And, they wanted me to come out and try the team. And I went to Coach Ralph Friesian and he was like, yeah, no, buddy, you're playing football. So I'm glad to see, guys, for one, break the mold, but also two, if you can do it, why not? If you can do it, why not? It's a little, strenuous because you have, especially in college, your study halls, your mandatory this, your mandatory that, and you got two sports. It's a lot, but ultimately, man, I definitely think it's worth it if it's a possibility to make happen.
Is there a sport you like more right now, Justin?
It actually depends on the season. Sometimes during the lacrosse season, I'm like, yeah, this is extremely fun. But sometimes during the football season, I'm like, yeah, football I think is better. Sometimes it's just how I'm feeling. But overall, I think they're pretty equal.
Yeah, and Shawne, you talked about, the accessibility and putting the sports in front of, the faces of fans who may not know it exists, to see somebody like Paul and Mike Rabel, who are from the Maryland area, with the Premier Lacrosse League and building a startup sports league that has now been successful for 5 years and running, to see it now be showcased on, the ESPNs, to be on, network and streaming television every single week during the summer. And to see just kind of the model with you getting into, your platform and everything with fights and everything, to see the PLL kind of take this tour model. How interesting is it for you from just like that business aspect of seeing, not necessarily the people go to the product, but the product comes to the people?
No, 100%. And I got to give them all the credit in the world, because when you know as much as I know on this side of the streaming business, the league startup business, the work, the dedication, and Justin will tell you, he had a prep. Was it Justin? Was it prep zone? Prep zone?
Yeah, prep red zone. It's like a camp.
Yeah, I'm there, and Justin's, kind of working out, and I'm on the phone. I got my ears in, and he's working out. I'm constantly working because when it's startup phase and you get distribution. So what PLL did, man, not only to start the league but have success and driving people there, man. You got to think, the NBA has been around for 50 plus years, and NFL 40 some or 50 plus. So it's a working process, but to actually have the fans and people excited about it and have a successful product is a lot of work, man. So Mike and those guys, I give them all the credit in the world, because I know how difficult that is, and I'm looking to add more lacrosse onto Lights Out Sports. Definitely a sport that I'm looking to be a big part of what we're doing.
Justin, to that point too, for you as a fan of the PLL, to kind of see the way that things were before with the MLL, and then the PLL comes around, and seeing how kind of in your face it is from, the games obviously being on TV, and then the social media aspect where you said, you follow along with TLN, you have social media posts from all the teams constantly. How fun is it for you as a fan of the PLL to kind of, just consume the content and it be, easily accessible for you, whether it's, on social media, the PLL app, or whatever it may be, and you have it right in the palm of your hands to follow along with this sports league of a sport that you're playing and that, you're growing up loving?
Yeah, I think it's really cool. And another thing I really like, more of my friends, kids that really don't play lacrosse or never even heard of it are starting to now come to the games. As my dad saw, there was a lot of kids on the side watching, taking videos of the games, liking the games, keep coming, and actually are getting into the game. And it's so easy to just watch, be able to interact with other people that like lacrosse as much as I do. It's really cool.
What's your go-to celly, Justin?
Oh,
That's a good one.
Yeah, it was. Most of the time I'll hit a bow and arrow, take it. I'll drop the stick, take it, go like that, or the blind walking cane, where I'll go like this and go around with the cane.
The blind walking cane is one of the best we've seen this year.
That's great. And Shawne, for you too, and for Justin, to see how many people Justin's age are gravitating towards lacrosse now, from trying to avoid the overuse of contact in football, and obviously the head injury concern, and finding another alternative where it's like, hey, maybe I don't want my kid to play football, but there is this alternative where you're going to get that physicality aspect and you're going to get that athletic aspect of things with lacrosse. And seeing how many youth players are kind of flocking to the sport now and just seeing that evolution of it.
No, it's great, and the physicality of it is no joke. And I've seen it firsthand from Justice level. I see what I saw over the weekend, but I've also seen it on the playoffs. It was not too long ago. I mean, it was physical as hell, and it's playoff lacrosse, which is I play NFL player. I know the tempo rises up when you start getting to that level. It's next level, and I think that ultimately what's going to happen is. When people start to, discovery is the hardest thing. Getting known to people where you are, and now you start to create excitement and a fan base, and they start young. You got to start young, and then you grow up with your favorite, lacrosse team. You grow up with your favorite lacrosse player, and it's passed down from generation to generation. I mean, for example, when I played for the Bills, Buffalo Bills, when you're born, you are putting the Buffalo Bills beanie on, and that's because your parents were Buffalo Bill fans, and that's what's going to happen in lacrosse. They're getting more mainstream. Some of the players now who are excelling, and they go far and beyond. They got characters and personalities. They're going to create a fan base, and that's how you start. First a team, and then you start liking your favorite player. And as you watch them for a decade or so, then the kids become they're going to grow up with their favorite. So it's a work in progress, but the PLL has done an amazing job at a good start. And like everything, it just takes time, but they're well on their way.
Again, I mean, to see, DJ and I talk about it all the time, just the different styles of the sport now, where you have the college game, you have the PLL, you have the NLL with the box style. Now you have sixes rolling around too. That'll be the format in the Olympics, and just seeing the different ways that anybody can kind of tap into the sport. And like we talked about earlier too, with street lacrosse and giving that accessibility where it's kind of open runs, kind of like basketball, and you just pick up a stick, you have a tennis ball, whatever it may be, you make up your own rules. I think that's like the next evolution of the sport for kids after school. Let's go play pickup lacrosse, and it's street style.
Oh, no doubt about it. Because, and let me tell you what, that's great. Most sports, and I would say pickleball, for example, most people can just play pickleball. And so everybody's not going to be a great lacrosse player, but they'll try. You know what I mean? They'll pick up that stick. They're going to go after school, and you're going to have some guys out there, some kids that's really good. You're going to have some that you're like, you might want to pick and do something else, right? But the accessibility now, I mean, I can't imagine us growing up where I grew up at in Prince George's County, Maryland, the Washington, D.C. area, somebody putting a stick in our hand and said, man, we had so many fast kids and athletic and explosive kids in our neighborhood. Like, you combine those two and you teach them how to play lacrosse, these guys are going to be all-stars. So now you get an opportunity to put it into the common person, the everyday person, and that's how you also build a fan base as well, because everybody's going to feel like they at least can do it. They might not be great, but they got an opportunity. So that's why I love, things like that from the ground rules.
Justin, your class of 2029, but summer of 2028, lacrosse going to be in the Olympics. How excited are you to, see lacrosse on that national showcase stage, in LA and seeing, the world's finest playing sixes format of lacrosse in the Olympics?
Yeah, it's really interesting to see, especially with the new sixes. No more, no more polls. There'll be no poll. It's going to be fast paced. There's going to be high scoring games, which is I think really going to bring attention to lacrosse, because no one wants a really boring game to watch. Like baseball is like 9 innings, sometimes low scoring. I think this is going to be a high scoring, high game. That's going to be played.
Yeah, and I mean, with you being a quarterback and being a midfielder, I think sixes fits your play style perfectly to make that transition from traditional lacrosse to sixes, and being able to bounce back and forth and being able to play that style as well, that fast paced style. Who knows? We could see Shawne Merriman playing for the Olympic team one day.
Probably.
You got anything else, Deej?
No. I think I hit on everything I needed.
Shawne, I know you guys have a big fight this weekend on Lights Out.
Yep.
Let everybody know about that. Looks like an awesome card. Very excited for that. And Saturday, May 18th, it's all going down on your Lights Out Sports Network, streaming on there. Tell us about this big, title fight that you guys have
Yeah,
going.
yeah, we got a massive fight. This Saturday, be in Long Beach, California. People can get their tickets at lightsoutxf.com. But I think the biggest thing is, and we got a great card, but obviously it's live on Lights Out Sports. So, everybody's hair is on fire behind the scenes to make sure it's all good. But we got 19 fights. And I think we're almost a 5-hour show. And what's cool about that is, right, I don't get these text messages and calls like when we're 3 hours in, hey, Shawne, when you're on the network, and hey, how much longer you guys? Hey, we got 2 more fights. So you could just go. People can sit there and watch. It's available on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire, iOS, Android. And next week or so, we'll be on Vizio, LG TVs, Samsung, working our way through. But I think within 30 days, we'll have just about every major TV platform. That talking to Comcast right now, Zumo TVs, which is great TVs. And so, having the opportunities now to just get this, we talked about distribution at the start of the show. It's about being seen, like people, the accessibility. But this title fight, we got Roy Echeverria and Calabero. These guys, one of them are going to end up in the UFC at some point. I don't know which one, maybe the winner of this fight. But what we try to do is find these next up and coming superstars. And then when they get good enough and they're ready to go to the next level, they go off to the UFC. We've had 4 of our champions go to the UFC, 4 of our fighters over this past, year and a half or so. So that's good. We want to be churning the top talent out. And so when they're ready to go, they got that opportunity to go to UFC. And so for us, that's a success.
That's awesome. Super excited. I'll definitely be tuning in. DJ and I'll definitely be tuning in this weekend, Saturday, May 18th. Tune in, Lights Out Sports. Shawne, Justin, this has been awesome. We'll definitely have to have you guys on again sometime whenever you guys want. Open invite here on OTB. Welcome to the OTB family, and thanks for hopping on with us. We appreciate you guys.
You got it, man. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Big shout out to Shawne and Justin Merriman for hopping on the show this week. Again, like, Pantheon interview for us just as humans and as podcasters, and for this show to have a former NFL All-Pro join us to talk lacrosse, football, combat sports, being a lacrosse dad was really, really awesome. And, we're going to be following Justin Merriman until he makes it to the pros. Who knows? He's going to be in the PLL one day, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it was cool sitting down, talking to those guys, and getting a deep dive on them as people and everything they got going on, how they became, the Merrimans that they are. And Justin's going to be an absolute star no matter what it is that he does do. It's still just unreal to think about that we had those two on.
Plus, he's a Water Dogs fan. Yeah, go Dogs. I got to bring this up before we keep it pushing, which this account followed us on Twitter. And it's from eBay, and it's from Todd Tobias on Twitter, big card collector. He posted a screenshot. A Dane Smith 1-of-1 PLL card just sold on eBay for $142.49.
Okay. Wow.
He said another solid price for a lacrosse card with NLL Bandits in the NLL Finals. Someone jumped on this Dane Smith 1-of-1 before he has a big championship. Smart move. I wonder if the buyer read our article today at Lax Culture Daily, which great article that Todd put out about like the way card collecting can enhance lacrosse and everything. We'll link that in the description. But almost 150 pieces for a Dane Smith 1-of-1 is wild, but awesome for the lacrosse card culture.
Yeah, that's exactly where we need the card culture to go. And, when you look at some of the other card cultures, that's kind of what drives some fanship, is guys just wanting to know who's the best so that they can get the best cards and keep their hobby going. We did get a snippet of some possible cards coming out this year, so that would be great for the hobby as well. This is all kind of right on cue with what we want to be happening. So, card guys, stay on the lookout. I'm hoping a new pack or a new set comes out as well, so I can get some packs and do some openings. But things are trending in the right direction for those in the card world and those who know others that are in the card world and haven't quite cracked into the lacrosse realm yet. The higher these prices go, the more we get the avid carders in that aren't necessarily fans but need to know.
Yeah, I got to see if this is an actual just like card store or just a seller. Calder City Sports Cards. They're in your neck of the woods, brother. Grand Rapids.
What?
Yeah.
That's like
That's
no
where-
amount of ways away. I
That's
was
where
just
the-
in Grand Rapids Saturday.
That's where that Dane Smith card came from, was Calder City Sports Cards. They follow us on Twitter.
About
I
to
don't
have
know
to
if
hit
he's
him
just
up.
a seller or a store or what it may be, but
About to hit him up
yeah,
and
they're in
find
your,
out.
your neck of the woods.
Yeah, that's more than my neck.
That's your whole throat.
Man, it's right there, bro. Right there.
But PLL free agency kicked off right after we finished recording last week, a couple days down the line. The waiver period opened for the UDFAs, the undrafted free agents. And I am looking to pull up the list because Mr. Biaggi himself, Brandon Biaggi, who does great work for Pro Lacrosse Talk, put all of the signings in one unified tweet. And I want to pull it up so I can just read it all in one spot. And here we go. So your PLL UDFA signings are as follows. Your Boston Cannons claimed, and apologies if I mispronounce anything, I'm sure Deej will correct me if he knows the names. Carter Parlett, D-Midi from Notre Dame. Andrew Cook from the Christopher Newport, very on brand for the Cannons. Mike Robinson, attackman from Delaware. And Sterling Hupp, your man from Texas. The Kyle Hartzell connection is real. The California Redwoods claimed Chris Conlon, defenseman, Patrick Morrison, Matt Note, goalkeeper, Chase Yeager, and Jake Naso goes to the Woods. Additionally, Cole Kastner and Ricky Miezon were both placed on the holdout list. Not sure why Ricky was placed on the holdout list. I didn't see any info on that.
Maybe just an extension from injury at Champ Series.
Yeah, so
That's
we'll
the only
see
thing that came to my mind.
what the situation is there. Then we go to your Carolina Chaos, who claimed Roy Meyer from BU, Braden Maia from High Point, and Jack Posey from Penn State. Shout out to Phil Shore. That's his guy going to the Chaos. Your Denver Outlaws claimed Dalton Young, Mac Costin, Sam Alexo, Eli Fisher, and Colin Krieg. And Eli Salama was placed on the PUP list. Your Maryland Whipsnakes claimed Will Mark, who yours truly called that one to a T. Scott Cole and Grant House. Wheaton Jacobois was also placed on the training camp roster from the PUP list. Philadelphia Water Dogs get their guys, AJ Mercurio and Alex Stathakis. So there's your face-off guy for your Water Dogs, more than likely. And then your New York Atlas claimed Tucker Garrity, Peyton Cormier, Devin McLean, Lance Tillman, and Jake Kapp. They also signed Chris Campbell to their training camp roster, and Brendan Curry was placed on the holdout list. And then the Utah Archers claimed Jack D. Benedetto, Jack Van Overbeck, Jacob Morin, and Justin Wheatfelt. They also signed Nick Cardeal, Tate Gallagher, and Eric Peters to their training camp roster. And this was the one that caught everyone by storm. Going to the holdout list is defenseman Graham Hosick.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Graham.
I think he may be playing in Worlds for Box.
Okay.
That's my guess. That's my guess from that.
Sorry,
For
Utah.
Team Canada.
Sorry, Utah. That's about all I can say there. I think everything else kind of shook out how we expected. A lot of teams went out and got help on the defensive side because this was a heavy offensive loaded draft, so guys weren't trying to really give up draft capital for D guys. Lots of face-off guys getting signed. I think all the face-off guys were future picks. You got guys now that are pretty established in the league, know what they're doing. There's a few teams looking for a guy, but for the most part, teams have their guy at the stripe, and this is, one, a guy to go against in training camp / practice and have there for those reps, and two, just to get them used to the cadence, get them ready so that they can supplement and fill that role once it is their time to move up and the team has moved on from the current guy. And then the offensive pieces, the biggest one, as we all kind of expected to happen, was Cormier, which we haven't really talked about a ton, but we kind of got some word that he's possibly playing box year-round.
We touched on it a little bit last week when he went undrafted. Like, the team that has his rights was just, like, going on a tweet spree about it. And who knows? And that's the thing with Peyton Cormier. Not to cut you off, Deej, but we talked about this off pod. Where has anybody asked Peyton Cormier if he was like dedicated to playing PLL, and maybe that's why he didn't get drafted? You know, maybe nobody really knew what his intentions were for his career moving forward, and that's why he didn't get drafted. Plus, look at all the teams. And look at the needs that Atlas had in the draft. Atlas made the most sense to begin with for him to go to, just on the UVA connection alone and the Jeff Teat connection from their box backgrounds alone. Was Atlas going to spend a draft pick on Peyton Cormier when they just drafted Shelley, when they had other needs that they had to fill, and had a high waiver priority that they could go and get Peyton Cormier without having to use a draft pick for him? It's no disrespect to what Peyton Cormier has done in the collegiate ranks. He's the all-time leading scorer in college lacrosse. But I think there's a lot of gray area that a lot of people are refusing to acknowledge that could be there, and we're not saying it is there. But there has to be a reason that 8 GMs passed on Peyton Cormier through 32 picks of the draft, and the most logical reason has to be pretty similar to what I think 15 GMs are doing right now in the NLL with Brennan O'Neill. Is he going to play box lacrosse? Is he going to dedicate to the NLL? Nobody knows. That's why he's not the consensus number one pick. And that's why Peyton Cormier went undrafted, but also ended up in the most ideal spot to suit his skill sets with his UVA teammates and Jeff Teat.
We said it earlier, coaching is a chess game, and being a GM is just a part of that as well. And for the PLL, you luckily get to put both of those positions into one place, which makes some of that easier. But seriously, they're just playing a chess game here. Why go draft a guy and waste a draft pick and capital when you can just sign him for free in a matter of 48 hours?
It's the same
that makes
thing.
Zero sense.
Different positions, but it's the same concept with Naso and Stathakis. Like, everyone thought those two guys were going to get drafted by the Cannons and by the Water Dogs, but they didn't have to. And for the Redwood's sake, they get another guy to go compete in camp with TD and Zach Cole and figure out if Naso can hack it in the PLL as a backup guy that potentially they need to call upon if TD potentially gets injured or can't play one weekend, whatever it may be. That's a win for the Redwoods. And then Coach Tierney gets Stathakis back without having to use a draft pick, and look at what the Water Dogs did in the draft. There's more levels to things than I think a lot of people want to acknowledge, and a lot of people online just want to find something to yell about for the sake of yelling about something.
We've known that for a long time, which is why I ignored a lot of what we saw. But we finally got like a real chance to kind of sit here and talk about it. So that was nice. But like the only other thing that I really liked out of all of this, other than we felt getting a slot there with the Archers, I think that's a great spot for him and his style of play. in terms of a midfielder was Sam Malakso. Going over the Outlaws, obviously Brian's going to love me talking about this guy being from Syracuse, but Sam is a D guy that can stretch the field and play some offense, but is a phenomenal cover guy. And I think that's where he's going to make his bread and butter in the league, is being a shutdown defender. That's only going to add to that Outlaws defense, which got better this summer. So I'm really excited to see him hopefully crack the roster and then really make strides in the league.
Everyone was pumping the tires of the Whip Snakes too with their UDFA haul. But I don't think we're talking enough about something that I think is super important for the Water Dogs. You have Coach Tierney coming in, obviously, trying to just build upon what Andy Copeland left him with the keys to this castle. We've talked about the defense a little bit, where like they're starting to get into their early 30s, with Eli, with Liam Burns, and the rest of those boys. Ben Randall's on the final year of his contract, if I'm not mistaken. Potentially the Water Dogs in this draft, and by scooping up Mercurio as a UDFA, assembled their future defense for the next decade. Kenny Brower, Marcus Hudgens, and Mercurio to learn from and be in the wings of a championship defense led by Eli Gobrecht, Liam Burns, Ben Randall, and the rest of those boys on that back end for the Water Dogs, I feel like is not getting talked about enough simply because it's a future move. But that is invaluable for those three guys that are coming into the Water Dogs to learn from that back end that is already established with those three guys, along with, your LSM crew of Alex Mazzone, Rylan Reese, and Chris Sabia.
I think it would be talked about more if we were seeing more turnover.
Mm-hmm.
We're not seeing a ton of turnover, so a lot of people are like, and I'm not gonna say I'm along the same lines, but I understand it, is future picks right now at certain positions don't hold weight.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, what if those guys never play? Because the guys in front of them don't leave and then they move on and decide to just do their career or whatever. Like, that's kind of still where lacrosse is in terms of future picks. This works out in the terms where these guys stay around and they play once these guys leave. Awesome picks, and people will talk about it, and it'll be kind of that hindsight thing that everybody goes back and looks at. But in the current landscape, it's kind of like they made great signings to get guys that are similar to their guys now, but do those guys stick around? That's the big question here, is if they stay long enough to fulfill that prophecy. If not, it was kind of just like, okay, you filled your bench. That's kind of how people are looking at it. I don't think that's why there's a lot of conversation around it, is because it's more of a crystal ball thing with the PLL right now. NFL, no doubt. NBA, no doubt. MLB, no doubt. Like, NHL, no doubt. You know that you're drafting young guys to sit behind who you currently have for them to be there and fill that spot in 4, 5, 6 years, whatever. You don't know, one, how long PLL guys are going to play. We're seeing some guys play a few years. We're seeing guys looking to play forever, it seems like. And then you don't know if those guys are just going to go, hey, like, this is taking a little longer than I expected. I'm just going to go ahead and take my 9 to 5 a little more serious and kind of really run it up there.
I'm looking at the defense, too, for the Water Dogs right now, just looking at metrics. Eli Gobrecht's the shortest defenseman. He's 6 foot. Kenny Brower's 6'2". Liam Burns is 6'3", and genuinely having been around Liam Burns, he stands at like 6'4.5", probably. Marcus Hudgens is 6'1". Mercurio's 6'3". Ben Randall's 6'3". Rylan Reese is 6'2". Sabia's 6'2", and you and I both know Sabia looks way taller than 6'2". Mazzone's 6'2". Your short stick D-midi unit, Jake Higgins is 6 foot. Matt Witcher's 6'3", and he looks like he's 6'7". The way that he runs and the way that he is. And then Charlie Hayes, Jake Richard, and Christian Scarpello, as confirmed by the Redwoods Instagram account, are 5'11", which is #tall.
Yes, it is. Thank you for that.
but man, this defense is massive height-wise. And I love that. I love that for the Dogs.
Across the league, the defenses are just massive. They're all kind of big like that when you look around. Like, the Cole Kastner's going to draw the Woods. Their average is going way through the roof once this guy gets to the jersey. He balances out Nakai. Yeah, literally. Nakai brings it down quite a bit, but man, is he going to shoot it right back up. But they're just big all around. Like, and I love that in terms of like where the league is going. Like, people are attracted in terms of fanship, like, to big bodies, big hits, great plays, and like that comes from large athletic bodies. Like, you see it in every sport. Having the 6'7", 200-something pound defenseman is going to be awesome. Having a whole line of D guys out there that are between the heights of 6'5" and 6'3" is going to be awesome. Like, that is what we're looking for. The league is trending in the right direction.
Which you may have been right to circle back to Ricky being put on the holdout list. The holdout list, according to the PLL website, is a player who fails to report to his club, has not been medically cleared, or fails to submit paperwork, will be placed on the holdout list. So he's probably still recovering from that injury, like you mentioned, from Champ Series, and that's why he was placed there, and it opens up a roster spot for the Woods to kind of play around with for training camp. Speaking of the Woods, they showed us some love on the socials today as we record this on Thursday. Big love to the Redwood social media admin and whoever is running their social team. Because I guess we did get the exclusive after all, Deej. There's some questioning about us potentially not having the exclusive on Cole Kastner and why Nat went and drafted him. But the Redwoods used our audio from the 3rd annual OTB College Draft Extravaganza interview with head coach and GM of the California Redwoods, Nat St. Laurent, which you can go and listen to on our YouTube channel. And we put the clip out as well, which is across our socials. But they used the audio today and was making the rounds, and a lot of notable players on Instagram liked the post, Deej. Should I rattle off who ended up liking the post on Instagram for you? Because some big names.
It might be important names out there.
Some big names came through, including the man that was mentioned, Cole Kastner, who has now followed us across social platforms, which means, Cole Kastner, you have to come on the podcast now. And, Deej, I guess this makes this podcast for the 2024-2025 season Stanford men's basketball fans.
Yes.
Go Stanford. Go Cardinal.
Go Trees.
These are the notable names that like the Instagram post of the California Redwoods. Our guy, friend of the program, Mike Rabel. Our guy, hopefully future guest of the show, Jack Jasinski. Colton Padgett, who is 2023 national champion with Lenore Ryan, also follows us on Instagram. Shout out to Colton. The man, the myth, the legend, the face-off king for your California Redwoods, T.D. Earlin. Our guy Stelios, who works for the PLL video team. The man, the myth, the legend, former Redwood, former Archer, and former member of Chaos, Jerry Raganese, who Jerry is White Whale on this show. Jerry, come on the fucking podcast, brother. Like,
please.
We will do an entire episode that's just with Jerry, just talking with Jerry.
Whatever you want to talk about, bro. It ain't even got to be about lacrosse. We can talk about anything.
We'll talk ramen. We'll talk food.
We can talk about the fact that you look like that dude that keeps jumping off all them cliffs.
Can we do the OTB food cast with Jerry Raganese?
Please.
Paul Rabel. Ever heard of him? And, of course, the PLL official account also liked the post. So, pretty cool. Pretty cool. I mean, when I got that notification on my phone, I was like, Redwoods Lacrosse Club mentioned you in a post. I was like, what is going on? And then I saw everything. I was like, oh, that's from our show. It was pretty surreal and pretty cool. So shout out to the Redwoods for showing love to the boys.
Sounds like an exclusive to me.
Pretty good. As Larry David once said, pretty good.
Is that good? I don't know. Is that good? I don't know. But no, seriously.
And we have to acknowledge, too, that the Redwoods are forever in our good graces, not only because Nat is the head coach and GM, not only because we got boys on the team, but they said the name on social.
They tagged us. Tagged us. That's important piece is there. That's how you get in.
On both platforms.
That's how you get in. You give
They
us
said
the
the name.
props. We do the deeds. You give us the props. It is a full funnel approach that continues to give. Take notes, Georgia.
Everyone.
Take notes. Good things happen when you got the vibes
say the
of
name.
OTB.
So yeah, awesome post there. That was really, really cool to see happen. There was another thing that I was gonna bring up that I'm blanking on. The Woods? Something else happened that I'm totally blanking on. But while I'm blanking on it,
Brennan O'Neill through X.
yeah, we'll talk about that as well. But before we do, shout out to the PLL app, because we have an app code that you guys should be using. And if you haven't used it yet, what are you doing? The PLL app is truly the greatest app for a sports league known to man. And, you know, the more I've been diving into LinkedIn, which follow us on LinkedIn, Underground Sports Philadelphia. I'm going to try to make an OTB page on LinkedIn as well. But the more I've seen and connected with people that we have gotten to meet and have had on the show, like Brendan Coleman, who is in charge of making the PLL app go to the moon, the innovations that the PLL app has had just in the last 3 months have been insane. The PLL chat feature is incredible. It's the first interactive chat, Deej. Brendan posted this on LinkedIn. It's the first interactive chat feature in a sports league's app ever.
That's so sick.
It's so sick.
That is so sick. You would imagine that some other sports app would have figured that out to get their fans interacting with each other. But also, I don't think it's a big of a deal.
Mm-hmm.
This, I think, really bridges the gap across the touring model and really gets people interacting with people that are in like mindsets, and will maybe get them meeting up at different games, different venues, and then will really help boost and get ideas to help the fan experience more than anything. It's not like the PLL can't see this. So it's really an insight into how fans think, view the game, what they want to be a part of, and how they can make the PLL weekends into those experiences for them. It's, once again, full funnel ways to benefit both sides in this.
Yeah, it is truly like a fan's dream of an app, from, articles and videos to rosters to scores, everything you can imagine. Trivia. It's a gamified app as well, which is super cool. It keeps you going back into the app to figure out more things in there. The more you level up, the more awesome features become available to you. Like Deej and I have been in there since 2022, so we already up in there. We get that 20% discount in the store every month, which is crazy. The PLL app is a godsend. And if you haven't already, download the PLL app in the App Store, Google Play Store, or go to pll.app on a web browser. Download the app, go to the redeem code section, and type in OTBPOD. That's OTB Pod, and you get 500 XP in the app. If you haven't used it and you attempt to use it and it still works, because we don't know, because we got this code during Champ Series, so we don't know if it's still active or not. If you try to use it and it still works, slide in our DMs to let us know. But we're trying to do more with the PLL app. Brendan Coleman is the best. We're going to be linking up with him all season long, hopefully, to do more stuff with the pod in the app and some awesome features. So download the PLL app in the App Store, Google Play Store. Go to the redeem code section. Use code OTBPOD and get 500 XP on your account. I remember what I was going to bring up, Deej. We had the jerseys revealed.
Yeah.
Jerseys got unveiled this week. Lot of mixed emotions from a lot of people. I have my top 4 of the jerseys. No particular order. I feel like we're on the same page with the top 4. I could be wrong about the 4th, but my top 4, no order, were Water Dogs, Redwoods, Chaos, and Whip Snakes.
Definitely wrong about the 4th.
And I'll tell you why I put Whipsnakes fourth because they are fourth in that order for me. The more I like zoomed in on the jersey, the subtle details, I was like, okay, that's cool to me. The snakeskin numbers are dope. I wish there was more of it. We'll see what the other jerseys look like for each team as well once they get unveiled. But I think a lot of people missed it when you zoom in on the sleeves, and I know you hate it, but it is a cool thing for, the homecoming era for these teams. If you zoom in on the sleeves on the Whipsnakes jerseys, it is the Maryland flag. It's not as flamboyant and in your face as the Maryland flag always is. It's all white and like that silver sheen to it. But that's a cool like hidden detail in a jersey that I can appreciate. But those are my top four.
I like the top three the same. Maybe not quite in that order.
Yeah, that was no order for me.
Yeah, I figured
in those three,
but the fourth for me was Utah. I kind of liked what they did with the logo and incorporating a little bit of the color scheme into it, but keeping it light. From what I got from this unveil was that home jerseys are going to be very bland and very like region based. Like they're putting the home team really out there. Like this is Maryland, this is New York, this is Utah. Like kind of embracing a little bit of that home, but keeping it bland to maybe get feedback or whatever from that area to tailor it more. And it looks like the away or the dark colored jerseys are the ones which have the real flash, personality, and the fire like we saw with Philly and Carolina. It was that dark color that had a non-traditional logo on it that seemed to really pop. And that's where we're getting a lot of mixed reviews as people thinking the white jerseys are very bland. I kind of get it in the idea they went with, but we talked about it a little bit off pod and kind of text conversation and such. I think it's more of just the way Champion designs. Like I think their designs haven't really hit for me. They've been kind of bland and haven't leaned into a lot of the personality.
That's what we both said. They kind of lack that personality that
but I do
jerseys presented.
Yeah, but I do think the dark jerseys do a pretty good job of getting into some of the personality and kind of letting the team shine a little bit. It's just the white ones that kind of bother me a little bit. But then again, we've done this before where we didn't really like jerseys, and then we get that up-close look week one or another week when we're out at a weekend, and it dawns on us that, like, okay, these actually do look really nice as we're sitting here seeing them. So I think that is something we'll have happen to us quite a few times this year. We're going to get a really good look at a jersey in person, down up close, when someone's right next to us and go, okay, that's sick, and we were wrong.
I think my biggest takeaways are some of the styles of the jerseys are a little different. Like Atlas and Cannon's jerseys are more similar than – I'm just looking at them because we posted them by conference on our Twitter account as well. The Cannons and Atlas jerseys, and I think it's the Archers and Woods jersey. But the Woods one is kind of the outlier to this whole equation here. Utah, New York, and Boston, kind of that style of jersey doesn't do it for me. I don't really like the collar, the way that it goes. And for New York, it's not showcasing the team to me enough. Like, I know I saw another angle of it and like the bullhorns are on the sleeves, but it's missing like the Atlas aspect to it a lot for me. And just the fade away from that hyper ice blue or whatever it is, kind of being a mainstay is a bummer. I like the Water Dogs jersey. The purple pops. The utilization of both logos. The paw print logo being on the sleeve is great. The dog logo on the front is spectacular. I think the only thing that I wish it had was more of a drop shadow on the Philly. I think that's the only thing it's really missing to make it truly like full-on pop. The Cannons jersey's very boring to me. Like, does nothing to excite me whatsoever. And then I told you guys already about the Whipsnakes jersey, and how I kind of feel about that and the creativity aspect to it. I saw a lot of people talking about this, Deej. I do miss the embracing of just the wacky jersey that Chaos had for years. From the stained glass looking jersey year one to the half and half jerseys they had with Champion towards 2020, 2021, and then into 2022. Fading away from that has been kind of a bummer to me because it is your name. Your name is Chaos. Like, embrace that. And I think from, fading away from that a little bit is kind of a bummer to me, where now this jersey is full on red, has the black, stripe on the sleeves. And then if you look closely on the picture of Troy Ray, the shoulders have like the Carolina outline logo with the scorpion tail on them. It's a bummer that they've kind of faded away from the chaotic look.
I saw that coming, and everybody else should have seen it coming. They talked about it a little bit and like how the Chaos branding was hard for them to market and put out, and I think jerseys were a part of that. So they've just been trying to make that brand easier for them to get out to people and market. And I think people were accepting the old Chaos and were fine with the brand, but like it's hard to market something and sell it and get people to buy in if you don't believe in it and you don't like it. So I think that's really where everything changed for the old Chaos branding, was that the front office didn't feel confident in liking what they had in a brand and marketing that and selling it to people because they couldn't market and sell it to themselves. And if you know anything about marketing and branding and all that kind of things, if you can't sell it to yourself and believe in it yourself, it's going to be almost impossible for you to get anybody else to believe in or market to anyone else.
The reason I don't like the Archers jersey, it looks way too similar to their Champ Series jersey. And to me, from what we have garnered from Champ Series, with it being in existence the last 2 years, and what we have seen from the jerseys in 2023, and then 3 of the 4 this past year, it's different. It's a different look. It's supposed to be different. Like, it is an honor for you to have made it in that top 4 and qualify for Champ Series. And the Utah Archers jersey from Champ Series, it looks like they just replaced Utah on this jersey from when it said Archers during Champ Series, and that's why I was disappointed with it. And that's my take on the Archers jersey. It just looks way too similar to their Champ Series jersey, and they just swapped in Utah for when it said Archers.
That's fine. I like them. I think they're dope. And maybe, just maybe, that starts to become a, what do you call it? Like a trial arena, kind of like what you see with the NIT. You kind of see a lot going on with the NIT tournaments for NCAA basketball, men's and women's side, where they kind of try things there first because it doesn't mean really anything, just to see kind of how it will work, how it will flow, and if it will be accepted. And I think that's kind of what we might start seeing with the Champ Series is, sure, it's another trophy and it matters, and that's something that people are striving for, but they're going to start kind of doing some things with rules or with jerseys and that kind of thing to see if it works in the PLL atmosphere before bringing it over to the full game, if it's applicable. Because I think that this is something that they may have tried with the face-off and the timing and all of that kind of thing, but it's not as applicable here because you only have one face-off a quarter. So they kind of just jumped it right to the season. But kind of these jersey pieces or maybe other rules with like penalties or something like that, they start to trial here in Champ Series before they bring over
Liam and the PLL
season.
design team, merch guy Matt, please keep Champ Series jerseys unique. That's just a request from me. Little old me. My biggest gripe is with the Denver Outlaws jerseys. I hate the collar and I hate the sleeve trim, simply because the light gray on white looks bad to me. It just looks dirty. I wish it was orange. And my other gripe that our guy Stephen McAvoy brought up to me when I sent it to him, I wish the barbed wire that is on that trim was just continuous and didn't have the breaks with barbed wire straight line as the pattern. And I won't be able to unsee that now. And I wish it was just the barbed wire straight through. And my other wish, and I know they kept it kind of similar to what the original Outlaws was, but I would have loved to have seen the logo on the front be the tertiary logo, which hopefully that is the case for one of their alternate jerseys with the new skeleton mascot with the top hat. That still has the barbed wire on the top hat. I think that would have been a really badass front of jersey logo, and maybe that's what'll be on a black or an orange jersey for them. But I'm not a fan of these Outlaws jerseys whatsoever.
I think you're just being too hard of a critic, but that's normally what you do. So I ain't even mad at you.
That's just my style.
Hey, do your thing, bro. I ain't say nothing about it.
I genuinely think they have the worst jersey.
What I'm thinking is I'm going to take a really good look at them when I see them, and that's when I'll make a true inference. But first glance, I don't really like any of them.
And then the Woods jersey is clean. I think it's unique to have the bear as one of the O's in Woods. I like the highlight around the number. That's a good look there. But again, you guys know our thing with the Woods jerseys. We miss those motherfucking trees on them things. Bring us the trees jerseys. What are we doing?
Yeah, that's not going to stop anytime soon.
No. But I agree with you. I think it's just like, I don't know. Champions just like, I don't know if my expectations were too high for them coming in when they became the official jersey provider, and it's just like fallen flat on its face in my mind from what we have seen from them. Because we were talking about this too, like the only jerseys that have really popped to me and have really stood out in a unique sense and in a creativity sense have been the throwback jerseys we got last year. Because that was the first time Champion had full-on control of any jersey. Because we all know in 2022, it was still the Adidas like models just with the Champion logo on them. But I don't know. Champion just hasn't gotten the job done for me, and it's unfortunate because I was very excited to kind of just see a new jersey provider in a sport that I watch. And obviously Champion is classic for lacrosse, but for my eye optics and for how long I've been watching lacrosse, hasn't been as long as some. And I was excited to kind of see a new innovation on things. And a lot of the stuff we've seen from Champion has kind of just been basic and boring. There's been very few Champion jerseys from any team that we've seen combined that have really stood out to us, I think, outside of Throwback Weekend and a couple jerseys here and there that have been like, oh, that looks good. Like that one. It's been a lot more misses than hits.
But yeah, I think that goes back to the personality piece. But that also may come from, the PLL kind of being like, hey, this is what we kind of have in mind. These are some things we need to be in there. Do what you can with what we've given you. Design is a long process that isn't just a one-person thing or a one-team thing as far as like a group of people doing something. So I can understand how we kind of all have these ideas and what should be done or, these opinions, but it's a process that takes a while and both sides have to say yes and agree and all of this. So there's a lot more factors that go into creating these jerseys than a lot of us remember. I think some of us tend to forget sometimes, and some people just genuinely don't know. So the biggest thing is get a look in person if you can before truly making a judgment, because that tends to change a little bit when you see them in person. And secondly, just remember there's more factors going on than what meets the eye when we get new designs for things.
Last bit of PLL news before we shift to college. Street lacrosse happened this past weekend too, which looked like an absolute vibe. I was bummed I wasn't able to make it, but the stars were out. The boardroom was there. Jeffrey Wright was there. Tom Schreiber was there with a traditional wooden stick. Mike Rabel tossing behind the back, no-look passes. Absolute vibe from street lacrosse. I think one of our goals, Deej, and I talked to our guys at Get in the Hole about this a ton, where, like, it would be sweet if one day we can put on, like, a golf tournament, like an invitational type thing to have people come out to as a fundraiser or something. It'd be sick if we could put on, like, an OTB sponsored street lacrosse event somewhere.
I'm down for it.
Like,
let me know the place.
Sick.
Let me know the place, and I'm there. I'm there.
Get people on board for it.
That would be so sick. I'd be down to play
something
a
that is
street
on
lax.
the vision board, for sure.
Or a sixes tourney would be sick too. We got some things up the sleeves, people.
For sure. Any takeaways from street lacrosse from just what you saw on the socials?
Can I get an invite? Like, put me in a little jersey. Let me get out there. I'm not saying I'm sweet or nothing, but man, just get me out there for the one time. I'll figure it out. I'll figure out how to get there. I got 3 assistant coaches, so my coaching duties can definitely be handled. There's plenty of people who work here in the office. Radio can be handled. KB ain't no big deal. If he really need him to do a show by himself, he can. Like, whatever y'all got to do to get me there.
You act like I wouldn't roll up. Come on. The closest way I'm playing lacrosse is street lacrosse, bro.
Through
What
me.
You mean?
you play vicariously through me, and that is A-okay.
No, I will put on a penny and be out there for street lacrosse.
You'll put a stick in your hand for that.
Yes. That is minimal running. Bro, if our guy Mike Rabel can go out there in khakis and be doing what he was doing, I feel confident I can go out there and do it.
I was cooking in practice today in khakis.
You like
khakis
the New York
and
Giants? You like the New York Giants 100th anniversary jerseys?
Hey, khakis and pants out there.
You want to talk about flexing. Some ugly jerseys?
I did, Pete. They looking just like the Hobbs.
Man,
I was like, the Canadians start playing football?
Shit.
What? Wait, hold on. Ain't the goalpost supposed to be in a little bit more, and ain't it supposed to be more yards back there? What we doing here?
Out here like Jake from State Farm, no free ads. I gotta get that orange street lacrosse hat though.
That thing was fire.
That thing is
the merch drops from street lacrosse every year, I guess.
It was also dope to see the Athletes Unlimited players out there.
The more we can do with them is the better.
Lizzie Colson. I gotta hit up Lizzie Colson to get her on the show.
ASAP. Lizzie. Big Liz.
But before we started recording, we watched the Through X with Kark on TLN. Shout out to the boys with Brennan O'Neill. Deej, your takeaways from BO34, chopping it up with Kark.
Hey, dude's just a beast, man. He's just a beast. That's all it is. He's like
the Incredible Hulk with a lacrosse stick.
I mean, just about, man.
What a quote.
But he's so smart at the same time. Like,
yeah.
The thing I really took away was like him talking about his time like growing up on Long Island and like learning from other guys and like how they look at the game and taking those pieces and building them into your game. And he's like, oh, like, you know, guys like Tom Schreiber, they talk about every part of their body from like their ankle to their forearm to their fingertip, like, and how it all incorporates into their shot or into their pass, their game, and like how it works. Or, you know, oh, I took the way that Mark Matthews uses his body, but then the way that John Grant shoots and the question mark from Rob Pennell, just he's so smart and uses so many different avenues to get to where he wants to get to make a difference. And then he talked about just his time in college and how tough it's been playing in college, and, you know, through COVID and losing teammates and trying harder and ending up, you know, a game short and trying to battle back for it again this year. He's been through a lot, you know, and it doesn't necessarily seem like it because you look at his life and be like, wow, you know, the kid's been balling, but it's been a tough road for him, and he continues to come out on top. And it shows that, you know, when you fight through adversity, amazing things can happen for you. And, yeah, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with.
We were saying, too, it was crazy to think that him and Michael Sowers were teammates.
Just for a year.
That feels like so distant almost. But, yeah, shout out to the TLN boys for putting that on. And without any further ado, Deej, it's bracket season with Portal Jones, and it's brought to you by Tomahawk Shades, the best small batch eyewear in the game. From sunglasses to blue light glasses and prescription lenses, Tomahawk Shades is going to offer you a quality product for a fraction of the price of the big eyewear companies. Why are you going to spend $200, $300, $400, $500 or more on a pair of sunglasses when Tomahawk Shades can get you a better quality product for a fraction of that price? They are truly the best. I wear the sunglasses all the time when I'm out on the road, going to work, whatever it may be. Deej is wearing them when he's coaching. I'm wearing the blue light glasses when I'm editing. And you can get your hands on some Tomahawk Shades as well when you go to tomahawkshades.com or download the Tomahawk Shades app, because they get some app exclusives in that bad boy that you won't want to miss out on. When you go to checkout, use code USP for 25% off your order from our pals at Tomahawk Shades. That's tomahawkshades.com, or download the Tomahawk Shades app in the App Store or Google Play Store, and use code USP for 25% off your order. Bracket season, Deej.
We are here.
The most chalk talk weekend that we've had from this past weekend.
That is D1. We'll get to that in a second. But last week is where the action really went down. You get Washington Lee over Lynchburg, 16-13, which will set them up with a matchup and date with Salisbury after they beat Swarthmore 18-7. That game will happen Saturday on the 18th at 4:30. Saturday right before them at 3, you get Bowden, Bowden, who took down RPI 12-5. They're going to be taking on Middlebury, who defeated Dickinson 13-9. That's 3 o'clock Saturday, 5:18. Later on in the day, 7:30 p.m., Division III runner-up Tufts is still in the fight. They're taking on St. John Fisher on Saturday at 7:30. And the first game of the day, Saturday, RIT taking on Christopher Newport after they beat Babson 23-16, and Christopher Newport over Stevens 12-5. St. John Fisher beat St. Lawrence 11-10, and Tufts over Stevenson 27-7. They're playing for rights to play in the semifinals, which will, I think, crazily be the very next day on the 19th. One at 3 and one at 7:30, so we'll find out what's going on there. And the championship game will be Sunday, 5:26. Or excuse me, sorry. Wow, I don't know how to count. I'm really bad at math. 5:18 is Friday, so as you're all listening to this, you've probably already seen a handful of those games. And the semifinals will be the 19th on Saturday, which means the championship game is the 26th, which is a Saturday at 1 p.m. My God, I'm really bad at that. I'm sorry. Oh, my God, no, I'm not. I was right the whole time. It's already past midnight.
This is vintage OTB, everyone.
We are grinding right now. Oh, my God. So, yes, I had it all right the first time. Those games are Saturday, and then semifinals are 19th on Sunday, and then you get the championship game Sunday the 26th at 1 p.m. Once again, Elite 8, Salisbury, Washington Lee at 4:30, Bowden, and Middlebury 3 p.m., Tufts and St. John Fisher 7:30 p.m., RIT and Christopher Newport at noon. Let's get our way over into the D2 bracket.
Wait, before we move to D2, we have to have a moment of silence
for Cabrini.
At Cabrini. Everybody bow your heads. Pour one out. Thank you. I do have a stat here from our guy Dukes about Cabrini now that their program has come to a close.
Is it the regular season conference wins?
Yeah, he brought this up on the Mitchell Pelkey lacrosse show on TLN. Cabrini hasn't lost a single conference game since 2001. The Cavaliers were 145-0 over the span of 24 seasons. That is
pure dominance.
Impeccable work.
Pure dominance. Just pure. And it really sucks to see them kind of not be around anymore. They're definitely a program that deserves to be here. They put in the work. They're winning championships. They're a team that's expected to be, fighting for Memorial Day weekend, championship weekend. And it's never good to see a program go down, whether they're winning or losing. They're struggling to get guys, whatever. The more programs that are around, the better lacrosse is. But that's just where we
got to get
are
Tommy
right
DeLuca
now.
on the show. What he did for that team this year under the circumstances was nothing short of incredible.
And I wouldn't mind getting Matty Nessler on here either. That man
Matty
has
Ness.
immense love for Cabrini, and I
Rightfully
understand. As an alumni of my own, I completely understand how you may feel that way. And with that being said, we're jumping into D2, and half of this was chalk, but we did get one upset. Adelphi over Pace 14-9, which gets them into championship weekend. That's going to be Sunday, Sunday 5/19 are going to be the semis. They'll be taking on St. Anselm, who took down Mercy 14-11. So that's a 1-3 matchup in the 1 p.m. game. Both of these games actually going on at 1 p.m. same time on Sunday. Tampa, who's the 1 seed in their side of the bracket, will be taking on number 2 and defending national champs Lenore Rhine. 1 p.m. Both teams fighting for a chance to play in the 4 p.m. championship on 5/26. That's Sunday, which will follow up the D3 championship. I really wish we had more D3 teams making their tournament, but hey, I'm not in control of that, which gets us to what all the people were really here for. The most chalk weekend of all tournaments we've ever seen in our lives. All 1 through 8 seeded teams that were favored to win went ahead and won. We get all 8 teams in the Elite 8. We got a couple of very solid matchups coming up that we've already seen this year. So we got some rematches, which is always fun. Taking Battle Saturday, opening things up, is probably going to be one of the more exciting games of the day. It's at noon. Notre Dame taking on Georgetown. Georgetown beat Notre Dame earlier this year, 11-10 in overtime. The only loss that the Fighting Irish have suffered this year, so they're going to be absolutely headhunting to get revenge. So that's a great way to open things up. Then you follow that up with Duke, who's expected to be back in the national championship and fighting to make things right after this team that's been here for 4 years hasn't been able to get it done so far. They're taking on Maryland, who a lot of people have already doubted and don't believe they should be here in the first place. So if you ask them, they don't have much to lose. They're playing just to continue proving people wrong. That's got a 2:30 start on Saturday. Sunday, we get some more action going. Denver, Syracuse, 4v5 matchup at noon. Don't know. I think this is the most even matchup across the board. Anything could happen in this game. If we get Syracuse that we've gotten most of the year, I think they win by a handful of goals. But if they have one of those struggle games, Denver is not a team that you take lightly. So that's something to keep an eye on. That's going to be Sunday at noon. And Sunday, 2:30, wrapping it all up and getting us into championship weekend is Virginia and Johns Hopkins, which we already saw this year. Johns Hopkins did come out on top, but that doesn't mean they're going to do it again when Virginia's playing their best ball of the year. It's going to be a blockbuster weekend, tons of lacrosse on. So if you aren't watching any, you are doing it completely wrong.
It's going to be a doozy of a weekend. Looking forward to everything that is going to be on the docket, from the NLL Finals to the college tournament to obviously the Lights Out TV fight card. Check that out for sure. I think that's all we got for you guys. Big ups again, and big thank you to Shawne and Justin Merriman for hopping on the show. Literally just an incredible interview for us. Be a friend, tell a friend to follow us on the socials, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads at OTB Laxpod, as well as Facebook, OTB Laxpod. Follow Deej on Twitter at SCS_NextGreat. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Subscribe to the podcast feed. It really does help when you guys subscribe. Apple, Spotify, leave a 5-star rating and review. Goes a long way for helping the show continue to grow, helps more people find OTB, and I'm sure if you're listening to this and Shawne Merriman shares this, we're going to have a whole lot of new listeners, and we hope that you guys stick around and give Lacrosse a shot if you haven't already. And, of course, subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@undergroundsportsphiladelphia. We are 7 subscribers away from 800. It really does help us out when you guys subscribe. So subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/@undergroundsportsphiladelphia. Leave a like on the video. Leave a comment down below. All that good stuff. Click the bell icon and get your merch at phiapparel.co. Use code Underground for 10% off your next order. And trying to think, Deej. It may be the case. Well, no, because your flight gets in at midnight unless we go real goofy hours. We could record the episode when you're in studio. Who knows? Remains to be seen. It'll also depend on how the NLL Finals go.
Yeah.
Which either way, could go goofy hours. Remains to be seen.
It definitely remains to be seen.
But next week, Deej will be here. We're going to have vlogs going on the OTB YouTube channel for Final Four weekend. And some big things coming to OTB, hopefully in the very near future. All thanks to you guys. But this has been episode number 323 of the award-nominated, honorably mentioned, number 9 NCAA ranked, and of course, viewable on YouTube. Outside the Box podcast, the official lacrosse podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. Shout out to the Redwoods for saying the name. For Deej, I'm KB. Until next week, we're getting the heck up out of here. Enjoy this weekend of lacrosse, and we'll see you guys next week. Peace.